Hi everybody, it's Maureen Wong with mycasestudies.blogspot.com. Today I don't have a finished card project for you, but I have a different sort of project that I'm calling recipe cards. And basically what it is, it's a paper that tells you exactly how to make a card that you've made previously. For example, I made this today and I really like the way it looks, and I'm thinking I might want to make more of that in the future, but I just don't feel like making a bunch of them today to keep on hand for, whenever I want to use it. Maybe I'll have an event come up where I want to make this card again, and I might not have it in my stash later on to look at. I could keep pictures, but that's not necessarily going to help me recreate this same card. So I came up with the idea of recipes. So to start with, I have my MISTI out and I have my stamps in place where I already used them to make this, and it's not actually a A2 size panel, it's actually a layering panel. You can see that it is 4 by 5 1/4. So I left my stamps in place to make my recipe. And then I have a piece of grid paper, and this is the old version with the blank back, and I'm just going to use that today because I have it handy. You can just cut a piece of white paper or cardstock to fit in your MISTI, the 6.5 by 8.5. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put that panel in there yet. I'm going to get my stamps and stamp them down here exactly how I want them to look on my card. So I'm using Grout Gray ink from Colorbox. Well, this is from My Favorite Things Colorbox line. And I'm gonna stamp on my paper that, and then I'm gonna stamp it again because that's actually what I did on my card. I stamped it 2 times because it didn't quite come out as dark as I wanted to on the first inking, so I inked it up a second time. And of course, because it's the MISTI, it's gonna go down and stamp in exactly the same place. So then what I'm gonna write in here is I'm gonna write Grout Gray MFT 2 times. And by the way, this is Unico. It's this great set I just got from Unico that has this beautiful heart wreath, and it has these little openings here where you can stamp one of these little flower motifs in it, and then it has some really nice sentiments. So sorry, I forget what the name of the set is, but I would put it right there so I know what this set is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up my sentiment, and I'm all going to put it, I'm not doing anything special. This is exactly how I left it when I was stamping my panel. Not moving anything yet. I will have to move something, and I'll show you that in just a bit. I'm inking up my sentiment, and then I'm going to stamp that down exactly where it already was in my MISTI. So there we go, and I can write there VersaFine Onyx Black. And then I'm going to get my Grout Gray again because I'm going to stamp this little flower motif. And again, I'm going to ink that up twice because I know that's how I want it to look with the double inking. And there we go. So that is the first part of my card. But then I actually have to move it, so the flower motif is this one. I have to move it so it'll stamp here and here. So I'm going to take off my stamp, and I'm going to poke my head right over this so I can position it exactly, and I'm going to cut that part out of the video. Okay, so I have my stamp lined up. I'm going to put that back in the top corner because that's where it was when I stamped it. I'm going to put that back down, the lid back down, pick up that flower, and now it's in the correct position for that second opening. I'm going to ink that up again with the grout gray, stamp that down once, ink it up again, stamp that down twice. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and move my flower again so that it's positioned in the third spot, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so my flower is lined up in the right spot. I'm going to go ahead and pick it up with the lid, and then I'm going to take that out, make sure that's stuck down, and then I'm going to ink it up with my grout gray and stamp it down 2 times as well. And that's all I need to do for my recipe. And then I'm going to put over here grout gray times 2. And then I'm going to write down here some notes. Craft cardstock base, 4 inches by 5¼ inches. This is paper tray ink craft cardstock. I think that's it. Oh, and then my last note is highlight areas with white Prismacolor pencil. And now it's going to be hard to see it on this white on white, so I'm actually going to take my black and I'm going to, you know, illustrate to myself that this is how I did my highlighting. And I'm going to go through all the leaves like that. This is how I wanted my white. And I'm actually going to do it on my flowers as well. That I wanted the white highlights here. And it'll be confusing if you just look at it, but then when you go through your notes, you're going to have your notes here that says that you do it with a white pencil. And then do those dots. I'm just going to quickly go through this so you can see the finished product is this. So this is my finished recipe. And if I'm a little bit confused, I can actually draw in how my card goes, you know, because it's going to go this direction. So I might want to draw it in this way and then have it in this side. Whoops, I just drew on it. So that I know for this part I have my cardstock lined up on the bottom here, and then to stamp the sentiment and the flowers I have it lined up here. And actually what you might want to do is not stamp it in the color you're going to do, but just stamp it all in black, because that is actually going to make it easier for you to line it up later. But let me show you how this works. So the other thing I'm going to do with my recipe is keep a sample. So this is my recipe. It's going to be, this is almost like the picture of the dish you're making, and then this is the recipe telling you what to use and what to do. So I'm going to keep that, you know, like get a page protector or something and file these all away. And then when I decide I want to make this again, I'm going to get my cardstock panel. I'm going to make sure that it is the Paper Tray Ink Craft cardstock. It's cut to 4 5¼ and then what I'm gonna do is, let me show you, this is gonna be, you know, 2 weeks later. I've already cleaned off all my stamps, taken them off. Well, I didn't do a very good job cleaning this one, but I've already cleaned them, put them away, so they wouldn't be on my MISTI anymore, so I don't have them there to line up. But my recipe is going to tell me exactly what to do, and I'm going to hold that down with a magnet there just to make sure. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my wreath, and I'm going to line that up. And you can take your time lining this up exactly on those ink marks until you get it exactly where it was when you stamped it. And then when you go and pick it up, it's going to stamp in exactly the same place on this new card as it did for this card. And so let me show you. And then I wrote here Grout Gray MFT 2 times. So I'm going to know that I need to go get my Grout Gray ink pad from MFT. And I'm going to ink and stamp 2 times. And make sure that's in the corner. And stamp. And there you can see how that's kind of light. That's why I did it 2 times, because it didn't come out as dark as I wanted it to. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that again. And there we go. And then what I'm going to do is line up my sentiment right where it was. And I know it's going to line up nice and straight and exactly where I want it, because I already did the hard part of, composing the card. And then if I want to at that same time, I can get my little flower and line that up as well. And then I can either leave this in or take it out, but it's telling me, I want my card up here. And then it's telling me that I want that flower stamped in Grout Gray. Two times. See how perfect that is? And it's looking just like this one. And then I can get my VersaFine Onyx Black, because it says right there that my sentiment is done in VersaFine Onyx Black. So I'm going to ink that up. Make sure that's in the corner. Stamp it down. And there you go. You can see how it's turning out to be exactly like the one before. And then I'm going to get my white pencil and do my highlighting. And I can either wing it here and just do whatever I think looks good, or I can actually go back to my recipe and see, oh yeah, I did it on the tops. I also did the berries. I did this top part and this top part. I can make it, an exact copy of what I already did. And so you just keep going like that, and then eventually I'll have another one that looks just like that, and I can go ahead and mount it, and I have another one of this card. So I hope that gives you a little idea about how when you make a card you just really love, that you can actually save a copy of it and make it again using a recipe. So I hope you like this idea. I hope you'll go check out my blog at mycasestudies.blogspot.com, and we hope to see you again. Thank you very much for watching.